here, everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen. Before I head out to ring in this new year, I wanted to share a couple of Southern recipes with you. Everybody has got to have some black eyed peas on their table tomorrow to bring in some good luck. So I'm going to show you how to make a big old pot of black eyed peas. And growing up in central Mississippi, we always had cornbread and black eyed peas. Now in New Orleans, they put a side of rice on there. So I'm going to show you how to make cornbread from scratch. Skip those boxes and let's make some cornbread together. So let's get to cooking. First step to making black eyed peas is to add 1 pound of pre-soaked peas to a large pot. I use my good old Magnalite, and I'm adding in 6 cups of chicken stock, and I have 2 cups on the side in case I need more liquid. Melt half a stick of butter and add in 1 cup of onions. And we're going to cook these until they're translucent. Sort of like we do with the red beans recipe, if you've watched that one. We're going to start the same way. So we'll cook these down for 5 to 8 minutes until they start to turn a little bit brownish. Here we go, the magic of video. And you know I'm going to add in that secret ingredient, ham. But not just any ham. I use Chisasi's, and it's out of New Orleans. So if you can get Chisasi's, by all means, pick some up. If you can't, you can use any old-fashioned ham. Just make sure it's shaved really, really thin. Adding the ham just brings out the sweetness of your onions. So we'll cook this down a little bit more, and then we're going to add in the rest of your onions. So this recipe calls for 2 onions diced, and I'm getting ready to grab the rest. But before, of course, we're going to add a little bit of seasoning. And I love using Paul Prudhomme's Vegetable Magic. So we'll stir that around. Oops, escaped onion. We'll stir that around. The heat brings out the flavor in your spices. So this is a great time to season. Now, there's the rest of your onions. And it's interesting, when you layer vegetables in like this, you get different textures and different flavors. So it's really a magic move in the kitchen. So we're going to stir that around, and we've got some celery. About a cup of celery is going in. And a little bit more Vegetable Magic. And I'll leave the link below to these seasonings. If you don't have them in your local grocery store, you can order them online. So we mix all that in, stir it around. We're going to let this cook another 5 to 8 minutes until it starts browning up a little. Adding some kosher salt. And you can salt and season to your taste. And just mix all of that in. Remember, salt is truly a flavor enhancer. The veggies have been cooking for about 8 minutes, and now I'm going to wilt in some spinach. If you don't like spinach or don't have any, it's okay. This is just something that I had in the fridge and decided to add it for some color. You can use collard greens, you can use any kind of greens you want, but you just wilt this in, and then we'll move on. As you can see, the spinach has wilted down, and I'm going to add a teaspoon of garlic to the mixture. We'll stir that around for about 30 seconds or so, and this is ready to add to the pot of peas. I did season a little bit more with Vegetable Magic. Stir all that up, And then we'll start adding this to the pot. And y'all, I do have some beautiful pots, but I love that old Magnolite. You know it. Nothing cooks better. So spoon this delicious smelling vegetable mixture into your pot of peas. And then we're going to stir all of that around. And then we'll add our meat. All right, use your same skillet. And I just went and robbed my deli tray. I had a little bit of bacon left over, so I'm putting that in. I'm going to render the fat in that, and then we'll cook the rest of the meat. You can use andouille sausage, you can use regular turkey sausage or beef sausage or pork sausage. I had some holiday ham left over, and I also had some tasso. So that's what I'm using to season this dish. So once the bacon's cooked, we'll add the other meats. So the bacon is getting a lovely brown to it, so I'm going to go ahead and scoop that out of the skillet. But I'm going to leave the bacon fat in there just to add a little bit more flavor to my ham and tasso. Okay, so we're going to add in, this is just regular spiral ham and some turkey tasso that I had. And that just gives you a couple of different dimensions of flavor. And I've learned a lot of Louisiana cooking, you use what you have. And that's what I had in my fridge. So here we go. And it's going to be fabulous. Just look at this ham and tasso. It is beautifully browned and ready to go into the big old pot of black eyed peas. So get every little bit of that. And of course, there was a little escapee. I like to drain off the fat from the ham and tasso and bacon before I add it to my black eyed peas. So we're going to put this meat in, stir everything around, bring it to a boil, then lower your temp, cover it, and cook it for an hour and a half to 2 hours, stirring occasionally. Go check on it, and if you need to add more broth, you can do that. Now we're going to make cornbread. This is what the finished product looks like. All right, let's get started. 1 cup of cornmeal. You'll add in 1 cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt. Now 2/3 a cup of sugar goes into this mix. And finally, 3½ teaspoons of baking powder. We'll blend all of that up together. And you can actually mix this by hand if you want to. I just like things to be thoroughly mixed. So just a couple of whirls around the KitchenAid mixer. And we'll be done. Okay, so your mixture should look like that. Hollow out a hole in the middle, and we're going to add our wet ingredients. You've got 1 egg that's at room temperature, 1/3 cup of melted butter, almost melted anyway, and 1 cup of whole milk. And I do let these things sit out and come to room temperature. We'll mix that up. Preheat your oven to 400. And we're getting ready to bake. Pour the batter into a prepared cast iron skillet and bake for 25 minutes.